welcome back to the TNE. We have a matchup that I think is kind of a thing of beauty. AlexFiero getting a chance to redeem themselves from their previous loss against the Bergand. Playing against a very spicy, probably the spiciest deck in the competition today. Mono time. Give us a couple of the highlights from this list,
It it's
SRX.
a it's a token strategy, and it is going all in on. You have your Igniter, you have your Dino Nest, you have the Humbug Nest, which is not something we typically see in constructed, but fits the theme very well. Marison's Disciple Sieve. So you're all the way up to Marison's Legacy. So you're playing all these tokens. You are buffing them between Javan and Behold the Truth, and supply lines would be super spicy if that happens. I'd like to see that on screen. And playing Kanya. If you have a bunch of tokens out and you play your Kanya, you get to ramp a lot. So it's very focused on what it's trying to do, and we'll see how this plays out versus AlexFiero's deck.
Four copies of Lured Away as well, which is
Mm.
not just a time devour.
Yeah, it's a removal in a pinch. It's probably not something you often want to do, right? Is give the opponent two draws, but when you need it, it's a nice option to have.
It can definitely come through and give you some of those cheeky lethals that we love so much on coverage.
Absolutely.
And
Um,
also notable, three copies of Sacred Seal with no cards that I can see that care about gaining life.
yeah, just I believe just having a time deck and feeling like you're probably not going to get too hurt by it. There's a small chance it comes and hurts like you're playing your sieve on time. Um, Otherwise, you're probably fairly safe just gaining some life for free.
Well, we'll see how that works out for them.
Yeah, looks like our players are ready and they're about to begin. Let's look at their mulligans
Alex
really
Fiero had a
quick.
pretty solid hand here. This is a pretty solid kibble. You got some interaction. You got an on insider, and they ship it back for a hand with a cat, an on insider, and I believe that was a press gang.
I just missed that. And meanwhile, mlntn just mulligan as well. Had some spicy cards, but was stuck on 2 power and really wanted to hit power 3 with that previous hand. Whereas this time has that Dino Nest, which sometimes can just win a game on its own, or get most of the way there.
Well, there's that third power you're talking about. Elemantian deciding not to play the Waystone Igniter here, not even as a 2-1, just deciding to play the Dino Nest on curve here, throwing away the non-shiny copy of Kanya, of course.
Yep. have to keep that premium value.
It's about sending a message.
Meanwhile, there is this Oni Insider on the other side that's probably going to come down and give your Dino Nest a bad day. Right, that just
Especially good for Alex that the Dino Nest did not generate a killer Dino, which have lined up very
absolutely.
well against Tony Insider.
Meanwhile, you can we have a probably a sieve on curve, or how do you feel about playing Kanya and attacking in? Um,
I feel I kind of just want to extend my board position with one of the disciples, honestly. But I generally tend to play a much greedier kind of Eternal than most people. So,
well, it looks like mlntn decided to be even greedier than you, opting to amplify the
wow.
power and just get that relic.
I have a lot of respect for that play.
Looks like, yeah, not under a ton of pressure from Alex. Get that long-term value. Meanwhile, you still have the
uh,
same kind of decisions as last turn that we were discussing.
Zido here actually quite lighting up very well against the tokens deck. It
Mm.
generates value immediately, gets a card in their hand. It can easily kill a couple of tokens without losing any sort of value, and when it comes back, it does it all over again.
Meanwhile, mlntn play out all these 4 drops, probably line up for a big Kanya turn to get a whole bunch of ramp. And meanwhile,
Very likely. Second cat
doesn't.
here.
Yeah, Alex doesn't really have the sweepers and stuff like that. So it's a very unit based control deck and one for one removal deck, getting its advantage from revenge units and buying things back with blueprints.
Revenge units do line up quite well against these tokens because they can eat them up if they get removed by some sort of hard interaction. They will eventually come back, and if you can sustain that and just like hold up until they come back, then you have a pretty good game plan, pretty solid.
Now,
sorry, go ahead.
That Spiteling not trigger Kanya? Does Kanya not? Is it only on attacking units?
I believe Kanya only counts face damage. Whenever one of your units hits the enemy player this turn.
So, okay, so the Entomb, it must have already been in the void, and that doesn't count, I take it?
Possibly. It might also just be a bug. Very, very possible.
Meanwhile, mlntn ramped out, can play all the cards.
Zitram here, far from the ideal draw from Alex.
But what if mlntn plays this Marson's Legacy? That seems like a pretty spicy spell to bring back.
Oh, the lured away in response to the sleigh. Nice. Oh, and drawing into a perfect play.
So, yeah, mlntn filling up the board. Unfortunately, doesn't have anything to really buff the field quite yet. But, you know, has a wall of units that for Alex to grind through before even thinking of winning the
Thankfully for Alex, Twisted Farmer does line up very, very well against token strategies.
Very well on the defense, but it's not going to really push any damage, right? It hopefully you get some really good trades though if mlntn goes for a giant attack. Although
yeah, that's the trade-off. The card is quite versatile though, which is kind of shown off in this matchup.
Oh, Alex is having a rough time with these flyers. These are just going to plink away, and unless Alex draws some kind of answer soon, they might just close the game by themselves.
Not only that, but mlntn has that Marison's Legacy, so even if Alex doesn't manage to get a good board advantage, it can very easily be swung the other way.
Okay, Alex going for a big push here. Okay, activates their own amplified relic to give the whole team +1/+1. And
space spacing here. Seems. Is there something about it? Yeah. Probably
must be saying, look, I'm not gonna win if I sit here twiddling my thumbs. I have to force you to do something. Maybe trade away some of these units and get in a bunch of damage.
Yeah, you seem cannot really be the beat down. I think they're counting crackback damage, depending on how many blocks mlntn does. But you know my philosophy. Math is for blockers.
Well, let's see how good mlntn is at doing math. He's a pretty smart guy. I'm confident that he can do math pretty well.
So you probably don't really care about blocking these 2/1 tokens, I feel. But you also don't really want to kill the cats either. So this is kind of an awkward board situation either way, I feel.
Well, how are you at doing your math? Can you not block everything and take this all? Probably not, right? You have to
I think just going to 4, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, you had to block the one thing, and now you are safe to crack back, probably.
Crack back for what is very much lethal, I believe.
I have not played with the new Zytrom yet. I knew about the steal a thing from the void. I did not know about the stat changes. So yeah, wiping out all those tokens that were gonna die anyway in the Zeta.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I very much forgot that Zytrom both both played a unit or that it applied its effect to your entire board, not just the unit it played. So,
Hmm.
um, reading the card explains the card.
Yep.
Uh,
Meanwhile, mlntn doing a bit
this
of attacker math to see if this is a win or not.
this board situation getting very complicated. This teleport on the Rune of Relocation, huge, absolutely huge.
Absolutely.
I believe this is lethal. I'm not great at maths, but I believe there are enough twos. I believe there's at least 5 twos here. There's
Oh,
exactly 5
exact.
twos.
Yeah, that was a spicy matchup.
Yeah, this is definitely a lot. This is definitely a very brain power heavy matchup, I feel.
Yep. Uh, and notably, it was just power of tokens everywhere. There were not really any of the pump effects. No Behold the Truth, no supply lines or Javan. And the Kanya died before it had a power to use its expensive 10 cost
Um,
effect.
I think Javan is actually probably one of the weaker units that you could draw in this matchup, because if you're playing it late, you're probably gonna draw one card of it, and then it's likely going to die to a Slay or some other kind of value card, just blocking away pressure. So you probably in this matchup you probably just want to gain the board advantage, like in the first matchup, and just try to clock your opponent out of the game, basically.
Absolutely. I like just Javan as an early play. Play it on 3, then play a bunch of tokens, something like a Marison's Disciple, and attack and buff, right? Or buffs your Dynast Nest tokens coming out. Of course, it depends on what your opponent has, and if you're chump attacking and losing your Javan, it might not be ideal. But
Yeah, the order of decisions in mlntn's deck is actually quite interesting. There are a lot of different lines that you can take at any given time.
hmm.
So I feel it's actually, despite appearances, it's actually quite a complex deck, I feel.
Looks like our players are waiting at their mulligans. So let's see what these
Let's see what
decisions
we
are.
have here.
I am not a fan of this hand for MLNTN.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
guessing
a
this is a
very easy ship for mlntn.
um. Let's see what hand Alex kept. As soon as that mobile view pops up.
I
And, and
believe.
and we lose the now we're in the mole cam. That's okay.
Okay, we have a hand with Cat Dasher, Helena, and Press Gang.
It has your factions. It's off one justice for Helena. But the thing that
Meanwhile,
stands out to me is
MLNTN
that the power.
going to 6 here.
Hmm. And kind of a dirtly 6. It's yeah, contract this just to use this power because there's not really much else you're doing. Meanwhile, on the other side, Alex's power was a little bit awkward. Everything was going to be depleted until drawing this sigil just now. That sigil should smooth things out quite a bit.
Well, if you did not believe this was going to work out, you clearly are not as skilled as AlexFiero. MLNTN's hand here, very strong, but also very awkward.
Right. Looks like opting to make a bunch of tokens and going for a Kanya play next turn is my assumption.
Against AlexFiero's hands is actually probably the right play. Alex probably wants to populate their board right here, so they might go for an Oni into Dasher, possibly. No, just going, just amplifying that sketch.
Not amplifying that sketch. It looks like kept all their power in holding up a sleigh.
Oh.
Well, shields are down now.
Well, notably, Kanya's effect is actually a summon effect, not a static effect.
Right. So you need to time that turn well, which it looks like that's what mlntn is priming for. You're probably fine chump attacking these units into the 3/3.
This is an easy contract, getting very ahead on life and hitting perfect amount of power for Kanya. This medic very very awkward to block 3/3 with Valor on this board. Very very strong.
Mm.
Going all the way up to 8 here.
Well, that means that, mlntn does not have a lot of things in hand, but this power, being able to make a pair of units that can just grind, play units every turn, that
If
should help stabilize a bit.
if only Xenon Obelisk was legal.
Oh
Ooh, that's
no.
Zedo coming down, taking away that very, very crucial sketch.
Yep.
mlntn might to fall behind on this board very quickly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, thankfully, mlntn has a little bit of padding here in life, but yeah, between Helena coming down and all these charging units, it's gonna have to find something to do quick.
Save, quite a good pickup here.
Absolutely.
Playing a 1/1 Deadly Scorpion, which is probably the right play. You're not really getting a lot of value out of murdering any of the units that are currently on board.
Well, you could see, you could target itself with the killer. Is that right? And then you can drop back later.
I believe that is correct. Yes. But what are you getting? You're trading it for one of their 2 drops. Their 5 drop that has already gotten value, which is not a very high EV play.
Yeah, you probably don't want to attack into the press gang and send it back, get them more cards.
These Helenas doing absolute massacre on mlntn's life count.
Mm-hmm.
Argentport blueprints notably not online yet.
Oh, just missed that justice. Meanwhile, mlntn gonna draw a pair of cards.
Gonna devour that little wisp. Strictly worse devour in the case of the wisp actually.
Meanwhile, you could play a pair of, you could amplify a couple amplifications on the sketch. Kanya is close to popping off as well. Like if Kanya were to survive and you went up to 10, you already have your 10 power, so next turn you could just buff your board.
The once per turn clause on the sketch relics really coming down hard on mlntn here. Very, very unlikely that they will be able to outpace the Helenas.
Absolutely. Like you could have played 2 sketches and played multiple units per turn, but then you'd be losing in the air.
Yeah, I don't think playing the Kanya did anything impactful on that board. So even if you do end up being outclassed on the ground, I feel amplifying for 2 training camps is likely the more correct play.
I feel like mlntn was really just hoping to push damage this turn. If Kanya had survived and been able to buff the board, the +3/+3 to everything for the turn.
I believe you are correct. No overwhelm though, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Alex on a comfy life total,
Drawing
the driver's seat.
Yeah, just drawing a bunch of free cards, getting getting to keep all of that draconic loot value.
Yep.
Very
at its best with all that revenge and the +3/+3 ending it in this
4 Exacxies. We're 1-1 going on for the tiebreaker here.
Nice to see a little bit of back and forth. Let's see how they line up in game 3. Hopefully both get some nice hands to start with, and yeah, definitely an interesting matchup. Both of them capable of winning, and see how they play against.
This matchup is all about board control and all about pressure. Alex can very, very easily outvalue TMNTN's deck, but TMNTN's deck can put out a very, very high amount of pressure very, very quickly, and Alex can very easily get overwhelmed. So it is a matchup that is very, very reliant on the board.
Looks like our players are back in their match, so we should be seeing the hand cam soon.
Hopefully.
Not quite viewing it yet, but mlntn has a 2 power hand that's pretty awkward. It doesn't really have anything to do. I'm assuming we're going to be seeing a mulligan pretty soon.
There we
I
go.
believe, sorry to force things there, Theo. I believe Theo was waiting until Alex was ready in game so we can get this
Oh,
cam.
that makes sense.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, this is an easy ship to the bottom for mlntn here, I think.
Yep. Meanwhile, Alex, kind of dirtly hand, but it can do things, right? You can get your justice with the blueprints. Then you're set up. You have things to do for a couple turns, right? You can
I
play
think
that Inciter. You can slay.
I personally think the hand is too dirtly. I think that Zido is very, very crucial in this matchup. It can really help stave off that initial bleeding from the more aggressive deck, and deplete their resources quicker so that they cannot apply as much pressure. mlntn going to 6 for the second time in this match.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and a hand that really doesn't do much of anything. So luckily for LNTN, there's going to be a little bit of dirtling around on Alex's side. But
Alex is definitely a very, very, very slow hand as well.
yeah.
Definitely not as slow as mlntn's though. Alex fetching for a sigil here to turn on their seat.
I think I like inscribing this this looting here. Just get the
And
depleted
it seems
power
they
out of your
agree.
hand and have undepleted power for the next few turns.
mlntn is drawing completely dead here. We really want to see some something like a Marathon's Disciple.
Yeah.
There we go.
Just in time.
So basically, any kind of unit that lines up poorly against Slay will do. I think can easily afford to take the 3 here. You really having both supply lines and Marathon's Legacy in hand. I think your goal is to try and get there and just try your best to. Ooh, teleport on your own Marathon's Disciple for value. Gets punished by a Slay.
Yeah, but it's not like you're really losing a card. That was off an Amplify. So you drew that Slay out of Alex's hand, which you don't really have anything else that you care about losing to Slay yet, but still worked out pretty nicely.
I do think in this matchup that is probably most of the time the best use case for Slay that Alex is gonna find. Even if the opponent is playing a Kanya, staying at the ramp, and you won't care that much until the second Kanya appears.
I guess there's maybe a point in the game where Javan, could be drawing cards, but here the medic coming in, ambush, and I believe it gets invulnerable for the turn with that contract.
If you contract, yes. I believe mlntn was debating on if contracting was the correct play. Oh, this is a very cute little interaction. pitching a friendly wisp to Zido. Zido though, very cats as we know are quite greedy. We'll take a second card of mlntn's hand.
Kanye at least gets that 6 power, and then if the supply lines comes down, that could turn into a pretty quick way to grow the units and end the game.
Yeah, this ephemeral wisp might actually end up being quite important. We'll see.
Interesting with the supply lines. Every time that wisp dies, and you empower it back, it's going to grow and further buff the supply line triggers.
Trashman actually kind of ideal for mlntn here. It is basically a little sacrifice outlet where they can pitch the ephemeral wisp every turn.
mlntn opting to draw some cards.
It's definitely a choice. I don't think I agree with that play. Although I do think that it is reasonable for mlntn to believe that they cannot like outgrind the FJS deck in pure value.
Right. The wisp would have been fine blocking the Wyatt every turn, but these other units are keeping everything else at bay.
And take consideration that Wyatt is drawing cards constantly as well.
Ooh, Burning Cruelty. That is one that I have not seen in a while. That is
Uh,
the
I
transformed unit from
believe
the From cycle, correct?
yes, it is from Anguish, I believe, and it's a 5/4 vanilla as far as combat abilities goes. And at the start of your turn, you play the top card of your deck, I believe. And
I
if it's a
believe
unit,
so.
it gets charge and deadly. There we go.
And pay 5 to give something +5/+0. Oh, wow.
That is a very that's definitely a very good one.
Yeah. How do you feel? Just give it stealth charge? Okay. Oh, that'd be a nice one to get charge if it dies and
Uh,
comes back.
yeah, no need, no need. The Battlefront Dasher here getting deadly just assures it that it can block anything profitably.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm mlntn.
They're a lot of pressure, but the Humbug Nest even could be pretty spicy. You play your unit or sieve here. Then a couple, there's an active supply lines going, so these things are going to get large quick.
I think you do have to get rid of the burning cruelty at this point if you want to be if you are hopeful on regaining board advantage. Seal Sieve giving herself killer after being buffed by supply lines here. And taking out that burning cruelty. So Alex very likely to probably double amplify that sketch, I'm gonna say. Especially with their board advantage.
Yeah, and then there's that Twisted Farmer in hand, so that's just setting up for that 1-2 punch to end the game very fast. Meanwhile, though, mlntn drew the spell that can buff the board and give overwhelm. So make a couple units now. mlntn might be set up for his own giant attack.
Unfortunately, Behold the Truth is a slow spell, so it cannot be used as a combat trick here.
No, but use it next turn. Make a pair of giant units, and then next turn pump your board and give everything overwhelm.
That is a very reasonable course of action.
Oh, I thought there were two
no,
sketches.
I believe yeah, there's just one sketch
right,
and
a
one supply line. Yeah.
Right.
Alex cracking the heirloom here for some more value. That supply line's going away, basically taking away mlntn's main hope for getting back on this treadmill.
Well, how does a one giant push work? Is that enough to force Alex to trade away most of their board? Everything +3/+3 and overwhelm?
3+3 and overwhelm. I believe. Huh. I believe that might be enough, but at the same time, you are going to be facing down an ageist burning cruelty on the next turn, so not looking great either way, unfortunately.
I'm not sure you can afford to sit back. I would just I don't know. I think mlntn is just going to go into the tank, do the math, see if this push will work, but it's going to be tough.
I do believe a push amplifying the Behold the Truth here is definitely the best course of play if you're trying to win. There we see
so coming
giant
in
board
for a massive, I believe 27 damage, if my math is correct.
I'm a trusty on that one.
Yeah, so Alex has to block at least 11 of that, because everything has overwhelm. This Valor unit
can
also
they
quite
block
awkward.
11 of that?
It can block it, but it will eat up most of their board. Unfortunately, will you know? Well, I don't know. This flyer might be enough to get there the next turn. There's,
This
I
battle
don't
from
know.
Dasher is very, very awkward. More awkward for Alex than than
Yeah,
mlntn actually.
that one toughness, like despite killing something, it's
Going all the way
doesn't
to
do a lot. It's stopping all
two.
that overwhelm damage. Yeah.
Alex dead to a vanilla locust here, possibly. Wow. Okay. mlntn actually gonna sweep this match. It seems.
Seems like it. Oh,
And the Steve
just for the
just
remnants.
locking it in. Yeah, of course. What are we gonna see? Are we gonna see the scorpion? Does seem to be the case.
Swinging in these twisted farmers. Unfortunately, neither they nor their mandrakes have flying. So that will lock up the game 2-1 for mlntn.
Perfect math. My my high school math teacher would have been proud of that match.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You have to go into the tank sometimes, make sure everything lines up, because if you don't, and that math is off just a little bit, like math is for attackers sometimes too. Uh,
Well, I would say
it could
that
have been.
math is for blockers, and you simply sometimes find yourself in a position where you might be attacking, but you are in fact the blocker.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that was the last match for the round. Everything progressing at a pretty quick pace, it feels like. So we will go on a break and be back soon.